Step by Step is brought to you by Shippo. Shippo has everything your business needs to manage the customer delivery experience in one easy-to-use platform. Just click, print, and ship. That's it. Visit goshippo.com/futurecommerce to sign up for free and start using Shippo today. Visit goshippo.com/futurecommerce to sign up for free and start using Shippo today. Hello and welcome to Step by Step, a podcast by Future Commerce presented by Shippo. I'm Philip.
And I'm Brian. This is season 6 of Step by Step, and you are listening to episode 4 of 5. So if you're just jumping into the series midway through, I highly suggest you go back and listen from the very beginning so you don't miss out on what we've learned so far.
Yeah, you don't want to miss anything. And hey, this season we are answering the question, how do you transform shipping from a cost center into a growth center? And I mean, I think that challenge must be even harder when you run one of the largest e-commerce platforms in the entire world. You have to solve that problem for millions of people. Big public company. Yeah.
Yes. And so I think the beauty of bringing in someone like Matt Crawford from BigCommerce to talk to us about this, we're actually getting a very broad view, a very 10,000 foot view of shipping and like all the different ways that e-commerce merchants have to use shipping to grow their business. That's what Matt thinks about all day long. So I'm super excited about this. I love this. I feel like we're cheating right now. I mean, we definitely already listened to, we recorded this episode already.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting pumped.
Yeah, I am too. I will tell you one thing about Matt Crawford was he told us right at the very beginning that I think he was on his work laptop, and BigCommerce is big for their britches now, baby. I don't know if you know, they're a big public company, and they're not a small company, upstart platform anymore. Some of the biggest brands in the world are running on BigCommerce, and I think he had some security software on his computer that also was like having some fun with his recording. And so we finally got this podcast recorded, and it was so worth it. And I can't wait for you to hear it. This podcast is for you. And if you're listening to this right now and you operate a brand, if you are an operator at a direct-to-consumer business and you're doing D2C, or you're doing B2C or B2B or B2B2C or OMG, whatever it is that you do in e-commerce, this is going to be valuable for you because the likelihood is very high. There's very high likelihood that you are running on an e-commerce platform. And when you think about the challenges that e-commerce platforms have to solve for all of their customers and how those decisions trickle down to your customer's customer, oh wow, it's this is crazy stuff.
Okay. So let's get into the episode because I'm excited for them to hear about this. So let's join Matt Crawford, General Manager of Shipping at BigCommerce, as he teaches us how you can turn shipping from a cost center into a growth center, step by step.
Today, we have Matt Crawford, the General Manager of Shipping at BigCommerce, here to join us for this 4th episode of our 6th season of Step by Step. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We are uncovering this big meaty idea that shipping can be a growth engine for your business, and I think that's we've had a few folks here that I feel like have given pretty compelling arguments. BigCommerce is, truthfully, it's one of the largest e-commerce platforms right now in the world. What's your role over there, and how can you guys fit into the story of using shipping as a growth engine?
So for those that don't know, BigCommerce, we like to think of ourselves as the mid-market's leading SaaS e-commerce platform. What that means is, for those that don't know SaaS, don't know mid-market, essentially we've got a platform that can help merchants at any stage of growth sell their stuff online, both on their own website or via omni-channel, like an Amazon or a Walmart, connect to their retail storefronts, sell in person or online. And we make it super easy. Even someone like me, you guys wouldn't believe this, I never knew how to run a site. I was able to stand up a site in just a couple hours. And I run my own bike business on BigCommerce. At work, I look after all of our shipping related partnerships. So making sure that merchants have choice in terms of who they work with, from everything that touches shipping, from the rates you display in checkout to the label printing softwares, to the cross-border partners, the 3PLs or fulfillment houses, the post-purchase, returns, and everything that touches that. I've been a supply chain guy my whole life. And when I came to BigCommerce, what I really, really like is the solutions that were only available for big merchants in my past life. Now they come in a $29 a month package that gives these smaller businesses that don't necessarily have the expertise or skill set or resources to have a really efficient supply chain, to work with tools to make it super easy, to not only fulfill orders, but use shipping as a way to drive repeat purchases for your customers.
Ooh,
that's me. That's important. That's important stuff.
It is important. And what's interesting there is you remember the old Hair Club for Men ads where it was like, and I'm a client. Your Matt, your story is you're actually sort of dog fooding and having come from the ecosystem, operating your own business, and so you have a different perspective. It's not just around I run biz dev at some platform. It's your perspective is also as a client, and you have a client mind around how these things actually impact merchants. How are merchants impacted, and maybe specifically in the last year around COVID and all this digital shift? Like, what is the impact of shipping on merchants, and how do those line up with the expectations customers have around shipping?
Maybe let's start with customer expectations changing. Maybe that's a good way. So our expectations of what's acceptable has changed, right? I think back to the start of COVID, when you ordered something online, you just didn't know when it was going to get there, and it was the feeling of like uncomfortableness, like, where's my box? Why isn't it here? And I think that was a really unique feeling, because 5 or 10 years ago, you didn't know when something is going to get delivered. And we've all been trained. Buy something today, it's tracked every step of the way, and you're going to get it in a day or two. And when I buy something from a non-Amazon storefront, you go to a checkout and you say standard shipping. And I'm like, am I going to get it today or tomorrow or next month? And it starts to make me question, do I want to buy from this brand? So I think shopper expectations have gotten more and more demanding over time, which isn't almost fair for a lot of the small businesses, but shopper demands have gotten faster. The willingness to pay has gotten lower. The options that a shopper has around pickup in store or BOPIS, or the ability to expect a fully landed cost in checkout to show taxes and duties if you're outside the US, all those are way more prevalent today than probably they were a couple of years ago. And so if I think about it from that standpoint, what does a merchant do? If you're running a business in Texas, you can't send a box anywhere in the US today for $5, right? That's harder. So brands have to be more transparent with customers. They need to give customers choice around what services they offer and the price. You need to find a way to do free shipping. A lot of brands are starting to use 3PLs or third-party logistics providers to meet the customer demand, which means they're storing inventory not only in their warehouse in Texas, but somewhere else throughout the country to get shorter deliveries. Brands have to make returns easier for shoppers. And they need to communicate with shoppers after the purchase in a way that conveys the brand message differently than just an email say your order's been shipped and that's it. And I think the brands that are winning are finding ways to stay connected to their customers when they place buy on the website, or maybe even shortly before they click buy, all the way through that post-purchase journey.
That's huge. Yeah. And it takes so many components to provide an experience like that as we're meeting those expectations. I think you're in a really unique position being at BigCommerce. I think your ethos, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but is that you see BigCommerce as sort of a connector of different tools that give merchants different options for how they want to approach building out an experience like that. And one component of that is our partner in this show, Shippo, who provides a really key component of that with getting the shipping rates and labels and all that returned. But I'd love for you to sort of explain, and I think you're in a really good position to do this, that all the different components of that shipping process and sort of the different pieces of technology that are required through that stack, and sort of, and how Shippo fits into that, and I think that would be really helpful, as this is step by step. After all, we like to get into the weeds, and so I think sort of going through all the different components required to build an experience like that would be a great place to start as we start to think more about how we can leverage those different components to build that experience.
Yeah, so I'm going to start. A lot of the listeners are probably brands, they've done this before, but most shoppers have never been to a warehouse and have never seen the process to take an item off a shelf, put it on a shipping station, pick a shipping service you want to use, and then print a label. So I think of the best way to start is when a business gets started, an order comes in, they take their thing, their t-shirt, whatever they're selling, they put it in a box and they drive it to the post office. They wait in line at the post office and they say, this is a 5-pound box going to Chicago. Post office man or woman says, you've got 3 choices, $5, $10, or $20. And the merchant buys a label, they stick it on the box, and the package goes on its way. That 5 years ago, that was acceptable. I remember going to a post office and seeing lines of people outside with boxes. Now, someone like Shippo, what a merchant does now is an order comes in. Someone still has to go take a pick list, go to the shelf, find the item. They need to bring it back to a shipping station. They need to put it in a box. They need to put a little card in to say thanks for ordering. They need a packing slip. They need something to connect with the customer. They then can go into their shipping app like Shippo and compare carriers or compare service levels. Say the customer wants it in 3 days. What service can I do it in that gets it in 3 days and arguably at the lowest price or at the most tracking, whatever features are needed? And so Shippo allows a business to do that in a really simple one-off way, right? For me, as my first box I'm shipping, or to do things to automate a merchant's workflow to say, instead of printing 5 labels one by one, I can print 5 labels at once with a single click of a button. And so at the core, what Shippo does is they make it easier for merchants to fulfill packages, the pick, the pack, the ship. And do some other cool stuff like connect you to 3PLs, give better analytics, give you access to carriers that you might not have ever had access to, discounted shipping rates for smaller merchants as they're just getting started. And they do a little bit on the post-purchase side too, to make it easier for a small business who's trying to communicate or facilitate returns for those shoppers. And it's all built into an app that I think it's free to get started. Pay 5 cents a label. And it's crazy. Again, 5 years ago or 10 years ago, that didn't exist. Now a merchant pays 5 cents for all of that automation and the ability to print the labels. Or $20 a month, $30 a month as you get bigger. Does that help? Did I make it simple?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. I think it could also be, we could dive down even a little deeper to say that there was we have another guest on this series who's talking about the phenomenon of almost the COVID era personal supply chain that e-commerce enabled, which is it wasn't just the fulfillment of burgeoning emergent businesses and operators who can whose software is enabling to do these more complicated decision matrices around how fastest, best, cheapest. But it's also that we're kind of all retailers in our own right to some degree now, when you think about the way that the world works and the marketplaces that we buy and sell and trade off of, and the emergence of re-commerce and the circular economy. There is this impact that shipping can have on every person, because every person doesn't just consume now, they also fuel other consumers. And I think that's where there's this really interesting inflection point that we're all at right now, where shipping touches everything that we do. And so finding efficiency in shipping in one area can enable or unlock so much more capability for everybody, not just the customer to have a cheaper product, but for there to be efficiency everywhere, even for the customer who is looking to make some extra money by selling the items around them. So there's from a platform perspective at BigCommerce, and you're thinking about all the ways that you're enabling commerce. I'm curious if you could think about like, what are the interesting ways that you're enabling commerce, like from marketplaces, and I mean, direct to consumer is certainly part of it, but you also touch B2B and marketplace in a really interesting way that I think have this like larger macro effect on the way that customers interact with shipping. Maybe you could touch on some of that as well.
I'll tell you about my first. I worked at PwC for a long time, and we'd work in the supply chain function. We'd find the guys and gals that were printing labels, and they were completely separate from the business themselves. It was this grungy part of, it's like, oh, go to the warehouse. Everyone's kind of scared because it's dark, and it wasn't sexy. It wasn't fun. The marketers didn't care about it. And you had a delineation, I think, between a front of house marketer, brand, product person, and all the people in the warehouse that just make the things work. I think what's happening in e-com now is that blend of someone needs to run the business that understands how to connect the shopper experience, which starts on the website, but it actually is really, really impacted by that dark, grungy area that no one wants to go to in the warehouse. And I think it comes into it's a fun problem. And I think the brands that are doing it well have found a way to say, look, it's not grungy and scary and different anymore. It's all connected. And I think when you talk about a big business that says, how do I connect locally with my customers? How do I create an in-person experience? Whether it's a brand with a retail storefront or just a warehouse. You need to be able to show a shopper on your website, which store are you in? Which store do you want to shop in? What inventory is there? At what time can I pick up the product? And you need to be able, a shopper expects that. I can't tell you, I told you before, I want to go to a sweaty bar and be around my friends and listen to music, after COVID's over. But I have no desire to go back to a retail store to browse through aisles and look at products that I can't research easily. I want to be able to have my same online experience with all the benefit that comes from that, and be able to pick up my product in store and not have to wait 3 or 4 days to get it and not pay an arm and a leg for it. So I think one of the ways we try to do it is bridge the gap between the storefront and the back office experience. I think if you're if you're selling on a marketplace like Amazon or Walmart, you want to see the Prime badge. And if you're a merchant on BigCommerce and you're selling on Amazon, we need to connect you with the fulfillment partners that allow you to get the Prime badge on Amazon, because we all know if it doesn't have Prime, you're probably not going to buy it. So I think you've got the BOPIS piece, you have the marketplace piece, and I think we're seeing merchants that can create a better post-purchase experience, keep customers coming back at a higher clip, rather than someone who buys something and there's no connection once you click buy. So I always tell brands to go on your website and click buy and see how horrible of an experience it is, and say, does it make you want to come back? So most brands, they just deliver an Amazon-like experience, but slower. It's a brown box. There's no connection. There's no follow-up. And it's slow and expensive. And then I think about the brands that I buy, whether it's subscription-based or, it comes in a nice box. It comes with colorful paper. There's a little note in there from the owner saying, hey, we really appreciate you. Here's something cool that, somehow they're going to make me think about them besides just the thing I'm buying them and use and throw out at some point.
Hey, I just want to break in here real quick and tell you about Shippo. Shippo is the leading shipping platform designed for growing e-commerce businesses. It connects seamlessly to e-commerce platforms and marketplaces and warehouses. And you are hearing all about that already here on this season of Step by Step. So you know that this company has helped more than 100,000 businesses get real-time discounted rates, print labels, automate international paperwork, track packages, facilitate returns, and more. Shippo's multi-carrier platform provides access to over 60 global carriers and can help you as a business owner navigate the complexities of shipping so that you can focus on what you do best. Grow your business today with Shippo. Go to goshippo.com/futurecommerce now to learn more and to sign up for free. That's goshippo.com/futurecommerce and turn your cost center of a logistics operation into a growth center. The disposable experience, right, is the thing that you don't want anymore. And I think that's what you were saying is a lot of in-store retail is sort of disposable experiences and low effort. And I've worked with extensively with a few brands, and my questions are typically around like they're looking for the kind of advice that's like, how do we close more sales? And they think that that's all front end experience related. And my initial questions are typically, what's your what's the median time to delivery? Like, how long does it take from a package, from purchase to the package arriving on a doorstep? And they very rarely know. And then I ask them, well, since I'm getting so excited, I hit my microphone. They they very rarely know. And I say, oh, well, there's your problem with your retention business. Like, that's something you should know. You should have visibility into. You should be trying to improve that number, drive it down over time. It's not just ops. That's not an ops function. That's a retention function.
Yeah.
And right.
I think what's really, really interesting about this is we marketers have in the past looked at, like, I think what you're getting at is they've looked at shipping as just like something that's like worth hiding. I just heard Malcolm Gladwell recently say something to the effect of, it's actually the full network, the full chain that consumers are looking at now. That's the way that we're able to sort of go to market, is when we make that chain transparent and known, and we build that connection point. And what I think I hear you saying is that the whole process needs to be clear to the customer, and make them feel like it's a good experience for everyone, because we're starting to think more and more as consumers about how we're impacting the world. And so having that connection to everything is important. It also makes you more competitive. I think that's another thing, is we've all of these things in my mind, like we've talked about, making the shipping process sexy, making it transparent, making it, connection point, making it something that's an asset to the purchase process. That makes you more competitive. What are some other ways that you could see shipping as being a competitive advantage for a merchant, and how can they use that and sort of use it as a tool to say to customers, oh, actually, I'm the right place to purchase your desired item?
What I try to do, Brian, is I try to separate shipping, and I think there's an element of how to use shipping as a competitive advantage, but I like to say how to use the post-purchase experience, right? Because I think it's more than just shipping. I mean, heck, I'm looking outside of my recycle bin. It's overflowing with Amazon boxes. Every Tuesday or Thursday when I put out my garbage, I get sad. I'm like, why do I have such thick cardboard or corrugate and throw that away? So I think something, if I go back from now, the product's sitting in the box is sitting in my garbage can or my recycle bin. Why aren't we using more flexible bags or poly bags or recyclable bags? Why am I getting a brown box that's generic that is bright Amazon logo all over? So I think start from the shopper, the packaging you use, whether it be branded or biodegradable or compost. I think that's super important. And again, I'd arguably spend more money to not have my garbage can overflowing every day. So I think the packaging, the unboxing experience, there's little things. You get a box that's this big and your item's just in there. It's like lonely, right? Like, make it something that's exciting for me to open up. Make it something I want to talk about with my friends, take a picture of. Heck, I've got 3 kids. They're not on TikTok yet, but why isn't every experience that I buy from an independent retailer something I want to talk about? Keep going farther back. I think you need to be able to ship faster. It's not only, Philip, like you said, it's what's your transit time, but most sites don't even ship the same day an order comes in. So I think it's the transit time, which is driven primarily by how close you are to the customer, but also how quick after an order comes in are you going to pick and pack and ship it. And you pay for next day delivery, but it doesn't ship for 3 days. I'm like, but why did I spend $15? It didn't ship yet. And then I think setting the right expectations on the storefront. A lot of it comes back to the storefront experience, I think, too. Because is there a clear shipping policy? When I look at a product detail page, or I look at an actual product, do I know if it's in stock? Do I know when it's going to ship? Do I know how long it's going to take? What the price is? And then between all that is, what's the communication? Am I getting text messages? Am I getting emails that are relevant to me? Or am I getting an email that's just generic, like, hey, here's your order, here's your tracking number, that's it. So, I try to separate it. We all want to talk shipping, which is important, and it's part of it, but I don't think of it as shipping, because in my mind, shipping, as a logistics guy, it's the act of print a label, stick it on the box, and give it to FedEx. I try to bring that whole experience together, because that's what a shopper doesn't care about shipping. The shopper cares about, I said I want to buy it, I get it. And shipping is just the mechanism by which you get product from A to B.
Oh yeah. That's so interesting. Shoppers don't care about shipping until they do. Right? Like there's a point where they don't care, and then there's a very, very, like, there's a threshold at which then they super duper care. One of those, like, and it's funny, that can happen so many different places in the experience. A good example would be like, there's this shoe that I almost bought today, from a store called, I think it's called Offspring. It's in England or in the UK, and went to go buy it, $60 shipping, and I noped out of it. I was like, no way. $60 like 2-day DHL. That was the only option to US. Nope, not happening. And on the other extreme, I'm still waiting on a package of something that said it was delivered 2 weeks ago and I've yet to see the actual package. And so, but it took me like a week and a half to actually start getting angry about it. So there's like a lot of latitude. There's like a lot of latitude between those two extremes of, yeah, customers just don't care about shipping. And it's your job, I guess, maybe, or it's all of our jobs to make that, sort of painless, but not so painless that it becomes painful for the business. Right.
Philip, there's a company out there, you may have heard of it, called Route.
Yep.
Route's built a whole business where they're giving shoppers the ability to pay extra for insurance in the checkout. So you get it when you say you get the product that you paid for with your credit card, who's going to protect it. Like, think about that. And there's shoppers are very, very willing to pay a little bit extra to get a product they paid for. It's just crazy to me. As you went through that example, that came top of mind. But it's really easy for that brand in the UK to have 2 or 3 different delivery options. I want a cheap and cheerful. I want a fast and expensive, and I want a medium. And it doesn't cost $60. It might with DHL, but there's ways you can get it for $15. There's consolidators you can ship through for that brand. There's ways that they can say, all right, it's not going to get there next week for $60. It's not going to get there in 2 days for $60. They'll get there next week for $15. And I think brands should be thinking about how do they offer those choices. And it's not, none of this is hard in and of itself, right? It's just jargon and it's different. And it's another area to focus on that a lot of the businesses, you've got a really smart woman or guy who built it. They're a product person, they're a marketing person, and they hire someone to do fulfillment that's completely separate from the experience. And that's why, I don't think shipping, I think of the post-purchase, because I try to make it a marketer's problem, not a giant or a person in the warehouse's problem.
In fact, I think that's a really key point here is this is why ops and marketing need to have better collaboration communication. The reality is shipping is part of the post-purchase experience, and the post-purchase is the lifeblood of a business for retention, like Philip was talking about it sort of at the beginning of the episode. And so as marketers work with ops, they shouldn't just be thinking, oh, this division of our business is just getting stuff done for our customers. This division of our business is what enables me as a marketer to be able to say, this is the experience you're getting. This is how you go to market with customer retention. It's with your ops team.
You said it perfect, Brian. I'm going to record that and I'm going to put you on our next marketing video. That's the message, right? And that's the story that we're trying to tell. And at BigCommerce, we try to make it easy for merchants to look at the the end-to-end experience? Who are the partners that support that, and pick and choose the ones that fit your needs best? And how do you stitch it together? And as a platform, I don't want to tell you who's best. Some of my competitors want to tell you exactly who's best and exactly how to do it and penalize you if you don't use their proprietary stack. My answer is I want to help you pick the best of breed. If Shippo's best for your business, I don't want to penalize you for it. Go with it. I'll make it easy to work with. And so, when you say what's BigCommerce's view on all this, it's how do we make it easy for brands to come to us? They need help, we can help them, but generally make it easier for them to plug in the solutions that help them run their business and help coach them through ways to use shipping to be a competitive advantage.
It's awesome. So, looking ahead, I would love to hear some of the tactics that you've advised merchants to employ as BigCommerce. I think you said we want to make it easy for merchants to be able to pick different solutions that make sense for their business. Have you been able to help advise different types of merchants or different sizes of merchants on specific strategies to implement? And maybe you can run through a few of those with us.
We've got folks on our team, Brian, that all day, every day talk to merchants about this exact problem. And those merchants' sophistication ranges from, I still go to USPS to drop off my packages, to you're telling me there's a way I can print labels for less than $60 to get it from the US to Europe, and I can start selling outside the US. Like, the sophistication levels the problems range from really, really, really basic, which I get a ton of, it's fun to help brands like that because they just don't know where to start. But go back to my consulting days. I like the businesses that they've got an established operation. How do you make it more efficient? Right. And I think there's fun in each of those. But typically it comes down, if I think of our approach, it's understanding what the merchant's trying to do, helping them understand the linkage, where you've come to Brian and say, I get it, how shipping matters. A lot of times it starts with them buying from their own website and saying, it's not exactly right. But I think of a brand, I think of a skincare business out in California. When we started with them, they were using 2 or 3 different solutions to print labels. They were going to a USPS solution. They were going right to FedEx and a right to UPS. Their website had 7 or 8 different shipping options. And we said, we went through with them and said, what's the brand promise you're trying to give? And it was, they're a very consultative, high-end skincare products. A lot of repeat purchases. And so we helped them create a 2-day delivery experience. They had pretty good pick and pack operations. It was more of the actual carrier piece. We helped them get discounted shipping rates. With one of the carriers, they had a 2-day option now, so it wasn't $60 anymore; it was $15. And they saw a humongous increase in conversion from just saying, instead of 7 options, I've got 2. I've got free, I've got a 2-day, and I've got a ground. They've since moved to so the 2-day was a huge win for them because they found their customers were willing to pay. They're buying $150 skincare products, and they were saying, well, I need free shipping. The customer is saying, I'm already spending $150 on lotion. I'm happy to spend $10 or $15 more, but I want it tomorrow, as opposed to I want it whenever it comes. So help them through that. They've since moved into a bigger warehouse. They've moved into multiple warehouses. They've got a facility on the East Coast and the West Coast. And now they have more of an inventory management system that was implemented too, that goes along with the complexity, let's say, of now running 2 warehouses. So It went from really skincare consultant to mom to business owner to, holy cow, now I've got an operations that I can't see and touch.
Wow.
And for that business, shipping was a very defined, very specific increase in conversion, help them grow revenue. And then as they've grown, they've had to spread out, which has made it easier to give cheaper shipping and faster shipping.
And it sounds like it's had a huge impact on conversion and growth. I think this is the whole point of this season, is that as you go and make improvements like this, it's not like this can have an exponential impact on your growth as a business. And so by cutting out costs, by getting more efficient, by going and getting discounted rates and offering more options, it's almost like adding to your product assortment. Practically, it's almost a different product. When you improve shipping and you offer different options around shipping, it's almost like having additional products on your site.
Yeah. It's funny how if you can save money on shipping, how it drives profitability too. Which is one, not only is it a better experience, but you can actually save money and make more profit on shipping than you might actually on your core product, which is, another crazy thing to think about.
Say that again for the people in the back.
Yeah. So I think that the core problem most people are trying to solve for is how do you get to free shipping? My argument is you should be getting to free shipping, and you should be using expedited shipping as a way to monetize a little bit. So if a shopper is willing to pay a little bit more, you shouldn't be subsidizing that like you would on a free shipping. And so we found that on a $15 2-day package, a merchant might be able to make $4 or $5. You might actually be sending a 2-day package via USPS ground that gets there next day, but the shopper's still willing to spend $15 to get it there, and they're paying for a premium experience. But if I'm in LA and I'm shipping LA, I can send it on USPS versus I'm in LA and I'm shipping to New York and I need to put it in a FedEx 2-day box.
Yeah.
So you can actually use shipping to drive profit as well. I wouldn't encourage using shipping to drive profit on your fast or your cheap and cheerful. Like, to me, that's defeating the purpose. You got to help people buy first, but if they're willing to pay, use it to your advantage. Just like you can use different products to drive higher margin, I think you can use shipping too.
Incredible. We're coming up on the end here, but before we head out, I would love to hear, looking ahead to 2022, and hopefully, we're going to be able to start to get back together again, and the world will return to some sort of sense of normalcy, a new normal maybe. Tell me what you see ahead for shipping improvements and for how retailers can leverage shipping in this new environment we're going to be in.
The analogy I use on this one, Brian, is I think of, if you remember Shipageddon, right? Before we went into the holidays last year, everyone's like, oh, the world's going to end. We're not going to be able to get our packages. And you saw, in a super dorky supply chain way, you saw supply and demand balance out. We saw the carriers move shipping dates out for, cutoff dates earlier, increased prices, brands started sales earlier, and no one went without presents on Christmas, right? And so, I don't know if I see a fundamental shift going into 2022. What I'd see is more merchants that are creating an experience that combines the online and the offline, or the store, the omni-channel, both true omni-channel of offline and online, and omni-channel that sell on eBay or Facebook and Amazon. So I'd see more of that. That includes the buy online, pick up in store. I see the carriers continuing to raise prices, which will put pressure on businesses to continue to look to 3PLs. I think you're going to continue to see a big push for brands that are selling and fulfilling via 3PL as opposed to their own warehouse, because they just can't compete as the costs go up. And then my personal one, I just hope businesses are starting to look at shipping as something that they value, like their product assortment or like their range. I want to stop getting empty brown boxes. I want to get something I can compost. I want to get something where I can offset my carbon emissions and check. I want things that create a really good experience for shipping as opposed to being an afterthought.
Love that. Don't make shipping an afterthought. Make it a good experience. What a great way to end. Philip, take us home.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Matt. And we love these sorts of deep dives, and I love getting so many different perspectives on the same core idea and the same core topic. We hope you do too, and stick around for the rest of this season of Step by Step. And if you want more, you can find all of our episodes of Step by Step in the 6 seasons that we've put together. You can find that over at futurecommerce.fm/step-by-step, or wherever podcasts are found. Thank you for listening to Step by Step by Future Commerce.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Step by Step. Remember, we have 5 other seasons available, and you can get all of those at futurecommerce.fm/step-by-step. And thank you so much to Shippo for sponsoring this season of Step by Step. Remember that Shippo has everything that your business needs to manage customer delivery experience. You can click, print, and ship, and that's it for free. And you can get started today by going to goshippo.com/futurecommerce. Thank you so much for listening to Step by Step.